podcast. My name is Joseph Chimameza Kujubi. Step Up Nigeria's podcast is an initiative built to create awareness of governance issues that highlight the cost of corruption and its impact on service delivery. It is also aimed at promoting values that will help build a society with people of integrity and provide solutions to service delivery challenges faced by everyday Nigerians. And joining me today on this podcast is the Programs Director for Step Up Nigeria, Feranmi Iyanda. It's such a pleasure to have you on the show.
Hi, Joseph. Nice to be here. And I'm director of programs, not program director. It's sort of different, but
Oh,
yeah,
okay,
I'll
Director
let
of Programs. Oh, okay, okay. Okay. Happy belated birthday to you. You celebrated your birthday on the
thank you.
15th a few days ago. How was that? How did
Yeah.
that go? How was that celebration?
No, December is the most wonderful time of the year. I tell people, if you're not born in December, sorry, it's Christmas period, it's holiday period, it's rest period, it's
Yeah, true.
celebration period. So but yeah, it was a nice. I didn't do anything on my birthday. I actually did celebrate my birthday yesterday. Interestingly enough, I had a dinner with my family last night. It was on my birthday. I was
That's
busy
good.
with something else. But it was a good one. Thank you.
That must have really been fun. The dinner. It was.
Yeah.
Oh.
Fun food is fun.
Oh, great. So, today we will be discussing anti-corruption insights and basically 2023 review, like a review of 2023, and what to expect from Step Up Nigeria in 2024. And who better to have this conversation with us than the Director of Programs of Step Up Nigeria. Fermi, once again, thank you for joining us. Just to jump straight into it, 2023 was an incredible year for Step Up Nigeria. Would you like to share key achievements, key successes you achieved in the year?
Yeah, thank you, Joseph. Questions like this are always hard because anyone who knows the kind of work that Step Up does knows that we always end up doing a lot because we have multiple initiatives across, our different funded projects. So it was quite a busy year for Step Up Nigeria. Just starting from our staff size, most people need Step Up to have 5, 7, 10 staff. This year we got up to 21 staff across,
Oh,
the three
wow.
states that we were implementing, which was interesting. But this year, under the MacArthur Foundation's Anti-Corruption Education for Social Change project, we implemented our Young Anti-Corruption Champions initiative with children in school, out of school, and children with disabilities. Um, we also and through that process, by the way, just to mention, we trained over 5,700 children this year alone on how to act against corruption and how to act with integrity. And this includes over 1,000 out of school children and over 300 children with disabilities. And we also had our Teacher Anti-Corruption Champions Initiative this year, which is our program that works fully online virtually, engaging teachers. And this year, we actually also expanded our training from just our 3 focal states to 7 other states. And so we trained about 301 teachers from 10
Oh,
states in the Federation this year
that's good.
on how to teach anti-corruption using creative approaches. Yeah, exactly. So quite exciting. And under the MacArthur Foundation project, we also have our Parents Anti-Corruption Champions Initiative, which we launched recently. And it's exciting to see that we're getting some new gains. This year, we sensitized over 350 parents on how to
Hmm.
instill anti-corruption values in the home. And as I hope you have seen from one of our newsletters, if you're one of our subscribers, um, we had this inspiring story of one of our parent champions who actually gathers children in the community, over the
Yeah,
weekends to teach them
yeah, true.
anti-corruption values. Yeah, so that,
Mhm.
that that was quite exciting as well. Um, and then our government anti-corruption champions initiative, which uses virtual reality technology to change behaviors of public servants and senior public servants as well around behaviors of kickbacks in the public sector. And throughout that initiative as well, we are seeing agencies where instructive measures have been put in place to ensure that procurement measures are not bypassed, approvals have to be given at different stages, and of course, the anti-corruption units at universities are being strengthened.
Yeah.
And also, interestingly for us this year was our school integrity certification program. For the first time, South Nigeria certified over 50 schools to have
Oh,
standards of integrity.
wow.
And that would include schools who are teaching anti-corruption education,
Hmm.
schools who have academic integrity, admissions integrity, and also schools who are ensuring they have a code of conduct, guide behavior of parents. That was exciting. I would say maybe it's the climax of all the things we did this year. We launched our third animated film on May 3rd on World Press Freedom Day, which was Tosin's story. And it is a story about how press people and the media can act with integrity in their reporting. And so Acosta was huge this year, and we did all that good work. What now made Step Up work more interesting in 2023 for us was that we got a new donor funding from USAID through Palladium Skill Project, and that was for our first time voters integrity initiative. And that was
Initiative.
exciting for us to
Yeah.
finally take, yeah, our citizens. We've been focusing in the last 2 years on our Catch Them Young initiative, which is where all of this falls
Mm.
under. We recently just moved into our Citizens Watchdog initiative, and the community work has also been quite exciting, empowering gatekeepers and community champions, and also first-time voters to act with integrity. And interestingly enough, we were able to reach over 600 first-time voters across 13 communities in Lagos State and Nasarawa State. And the stories from those communities have been absolutely inspiring. We also launched our second virtual reality film. Step Up is big on virtual reality and
Wow.
how that
Yeah.
changes behavior. And we
Congratulations.
launched Abike's Story this year. Thank you. And Abike's Story is on YouTube. So if you haven't seen Abike's Story or Tosin's Story, please visit our YouTube channel, Step Up TV, to check that out. But Abike's Story empowered communities this year to see the impact, of vote selling behavior and how communities can take action to stop that. And this year, we awarded about 27 people, children, and communities on anti corruption education as well. And specifically from our first time voters initiative, we've seen communities get access to clean water through boreholes delivered. We've had communities who got their transformers restored, which gave them access to power. Communities who have gotten grinding machines as a mode of empowerment for the communities because of the advocacy that our first-time voters were able to start through the project. I would like to say that we've also established some really new and important partnerships for the organization this year. We partnered with, the UNHCR on their film festival to show anti-corruption films. This year, we also got approval from the Lagos State government for anti-corruption storybooks, and also approval from the Nasarawa State Universal Basic Education Board. All our 4 storybooks have now been approved in Nasarawa State to use
Congratulations.
teach basic
Wow.
education.
Wow.
Thank you. And something else that was new, we partnered with UBEC, which is the Universal Basic Education Commission. And with UBEC, we were able to create a handbook, a training manual for teachers, a training guide on how to include moral reorientation in education system in Nigeria, which we hope will be launched sometime next year, and everybody will have access to that as well. And we visited Edo sometime earlier in April, so also expanding our reach to more states. And in Edo State, we're able to work with Edo Best as the governor was celebrating education in Edo State. And we've had our storybook Halima's Vote approved by the Edo State Ministry of Education as part of the books to be used to teach anti-corruption and values. So just as I wrap up your question, all these really big things, someone is going to be listening to this and asking, what is changing? What's the purpose of the work that we're doing?
Yeah.
With our first time voters project, we noticed about a 21% increase in first time voters' understanding of the downside of vote selling and their motivation to tackle it. We've also seen sustainable platforms like youth forums and WhatsApp groups are now in place for communities to engage with their elected representatives as well. And for our Step Up Nigeria's project on the MacArthur Foundation project, we have over 5,000 children who received anti-corruption education this year. And as a result of the over 52,000, pardon me, children that we've engaged over the last 5 years, we launched an anti-corruption report this year in July on anti-corruption education in Nigeria, a complementary tool or an alternative to enforcement in Nigeria. And we also produced our first integrity board game called Do It Right, which we hope will be
Yeah.
mainstreamed in supermarkets near you across Nigeria going forward. So yeah, I think I can stop there, but we've also seen notable increases in children's understanding of corruption and motivation to act against it, and specifically reductions in cheating behavior, because this year we hope to tackle cheating behaviors in primary and secondary schools, and we actually noticed through our randomized control trial impact evaluation method that children who have been exposed to anti-corruption education are less likely to cheat for themselves and for their friends. compared to those who were not exposed to this education. But yeah, I think I've spoken too long, and I hope our listeners were not bored by what I said. But we'll be releasing our annual report in January next year, where all this information will be made available for people to reference. So please look out for that in the new year. Thank you.
Oh, congratulations, Feranmi. These are impressive numbers coming from Step Up Nigeria, impressive numbers. One that caught my attention real quick is over 52,000 children, equipped with anti-corruption knowledge, anti-corruption information. That's an impressive number. How are you guys able to achieve these impressive figures?
So the 52,000 number that I gave is over the last 5 years.
Wow.
Um, which you would say would average 10,000 children a year. And
Yeah,
and
yeah.
this has been in maybe 5 states total. Now, if you compare the total number of children in Nigeria, of course, we've still just scratched the surface of the children in the country. But because of our staff strength and our funding, it has been quite a feat for us. And also just being in 5 years to have reached that many beneficiaries. Um, I would say it starts with the visionary leadership of our founder, Oni O, and that drive that she pushes through the entire organization to ensure that we're not slacking and that we're pushing and that we're meeting our targets and surpassing them. But also exceptional staff. I mean, I'm director of programs, maybe I may be biased, but I think I do have one of the best teams in the country.
Yeah.
People who are experts in the fields where they work and just people who are exceptionally hardworking and are completely committed to doing the work, despite any challenges that we faced. And also just the kind of partnerships and stakeholders we've worked with in all the states across board have been people who have been really exciting to work with. And so I would say, a combination of all those factors have made the work that we've done at Step Up possible.
Yeah, great. So, but with impressive figures like this, and with the work you do, a whole lot of challenges must have, you know, meddled your way in the air. And I want to get a general overview of the core challenges you faced in the year in implementing your programs.
Oh, Step Up Nigeria has been hit with a few challenges. One of which would be inflation. And I think every organization in Nigeria, not even Nigeria, there was a global inflation crisis this year. Um, but that also just affected, we would have loved to reach more children than we did, but of course, funding constraints due to that. Um, I would also say security challenges in the country. When we launched our first time voters project, as well, especially I'm thinking of the security risk in the states and the communities where we went around the elections, where some of our staff were even beat up, for ensuring that ballot papers were being counted. And then we started our project in Imo State this year as well, but we had to pull out of Imo State around September this year, just because of, you know, the sit at home
This is
and
at
some of the
home. Yeah,
risks
okay.
associated, yes,
Mm.
with those security challenges there. Um, and then, of course, there's always access to communities, poor road networks limit, how much time it takes to get to communities and what communities were able to access. And, we're also trying to improve our overall visibility and our presence online and on social media as well. But this year, I would say, external challenges that we face were really things like inflation, from the environment, and then switch the change in government as well. At the start of the year, we were really excited because we've been pushing for anti-corruption education to be mainstreamed in all the states in Nigeria. And we had the Anti-Corruption Committee at the National Assembly move a motion that anti-corruption education will be taught, in all schools nationwide. And of course, with the 10th National Assembly coming in and the reshuffling of the cabinets, that has basically gone underwater. But of course, one of the things we'll be happily pursuing next year to ensure that this is, a law that is passed nationally. But those are some of the challenges that we face this year.
Okay. Well, and with these challenges, you must have learned a thing or two from facing all of these challenges. Share with us your lessons you've learned, within the year and carrying out your project, and how these lessons you've learned will shape the work Step Up Nigeria is doing come next year.
Yeah. So we've learned a lot of lessons. We're learning, that children are enjoying clubs at their schools. And so Our model prior to now was to ensure that anti-corruption education was taught either as a subject or, entrenched in the scheme of work of the curriculum of another subject. But we're seeing that the extracurricular angle is working a lot in schools. And so Step Up Nigeria now has schools who have an anti-corruption club or an integrity club established by Step Up or by our partner agencies, the EFCC or the ICPC. And also now we're seeing things like an anti-corruption month or an anti-corruption day on the assembly, which encourages creativity through poems and drama and speeches and presentations that teach against corrupt behaviors. We're also learning that, creating and maintaining online platforms will help our beneficiaries to engage with us a bit more. And that, of course, external relations with stakeholders is important to keep the work that we're doing going, and that we have to extend this even to the lawmaking body, which is the National Assembly. We're also hoping to diversify our funding sources next year. Of course, we want to do more, but of course, we need more funding to do that. So we've learned a lot of lessons around our business development and resource mobilization as well. And then internally reflecting on our team, we instituted weekly capacity building sessions during our weekly meeting as a team. And we saw a profound improvement and growth in the knowledge and efficiency of our staff based on those sessions. And then just also internally, we started our last Thursday at Step Up, which was a team bonding activity to ensure that, beyond us delivering effectively, the team also has great cohesion. And we've seen that team members have also enjoyed those activities and that we're a stronger team together as a result of that. So again, not to overflog the issue, those are some of the lessons that we've learned this year.
Yeah, I think I can speak to the team bonding part where, in the last retreat, a whole lot of fun was had. A lot of lessons were also learned. It was a very engaging session. Different ideas were, flying in the room. It gave us time to reflect, but also have fun. I think I really enjoyed the arm wrestling part during the retreat. It was really a great one. I lost both times. Every time I
I missed
challenged.
that. I have to hear all the
Yeah.
gist from you after this podcast.
Oh,
Also.
of course, I'll give that to you later. So let's go to the plan for next year. What is Step Up Nigeria going to look like going in 2024? What are the core messaging? What are the key initiatives we're going to be implementing next year?
So in 2024, we'll be implementing our MacArthur Foundation Anti-Corruption Education for Social Change project, phase 2, year 3. So this will be our 5th year implementing this pilot project, and we're really going to be consolidating on our wins, gathering our evidence so that we can tell our stories very well as we wrap up that particular project. The aim of the project was to contribute towards changing negative behaviors that drive corruption by building collective action between young people and communities, and then just those strong values that help people to resist corruption. And so, what we'll be hoping to do next year is continuing some of the work that we're doing, but it may look a bit different. So, what do I mean? Under our Parents Anti-Corruption Champions Initiative and our School Integrity Certification Program, we're hoping to, move a lot of things remote and virtual, just because of, lessons learned around cost saving. And so for our school certification program, we're going to be launching a school integrity certification website next year that automates the process of school reviews and school approvals, where we'll have to have necessary but limited interactions with the schools themselves. And also we'll be publishing our League of Integrity Certified Schools next year. So for parents looking for schools in Abuja, Lagos, Nasarawa, expect to see that list of schools where you can send your children to, and you have the assurance that there will be academic integrity. And under our Parent Anti-Corruption Champions Initiative, we also would love to extend that nationwide. So we're going to be having virtual sessions with interested parents all across Nigeria, engaging them on how they can instill anti-corruption values in the home. So that would also be an exciting new thing for us. We will continue our teachers training program, but like I said, we're consolidating next year. And so we'll be doing a lot of follow-up with teachers that we've trained. We've trained almost 1,000 teachers in the last 5 years. Actually, I think about 1,200, if I'm not mistaken. And so we want to get lessons from their process. How has teaching anti-corruption in the classroom been, so that we can improve our learning and development website for teachers going forward? And so there'll be a lot of monitoring of our trained teachers. And then next year, even on our certification program, we would like to do some publicity, for schools that have been certified and also, of course, certified new schools. And then on our Government Anti-Corruption Champions Initiative, would like to strengthen our engagement with education stakeholders. So we'll be having more education, roundtable meetings with education stakeholders towards this process of institutionalizing anti-corruption teaching. And then we'll be following up with stakeholders on their action plans. And then with children, of course, we would like to focus our target next year on out of school children and children with disabilities, as we would like to reach a bit more of them as we wrap up our project, and then also just continue some limited engagements with children in primary and secondary schools. And then we would continue our randomized control trials, which is our annual impact evaluation testing method, just to ensure that our methods are still working. And who knows, Step Up Nigeria may launch a new virtual reality film next year,
Oh, okay, that
not
would be
another
interesting.
animated film. And we will be launching a new comic book series. I think I can announce this now. We'll be launching a new comic book series next year as well. I don't know, I'm not going to give away what areas we'll be writing on, so you have to just keep following us to find out. But a new comic book series will come out next year as well. So that's one of the new products that we should expect from Step Up in the new year. It's just really on the MacArthur project. Step Up still has a lot more in store. Um, we have been selected by the Nigerian Youth Futures Fund as one of their development grants for next year. So that's exciting and new
Yay!
for us. So that will
Yeah.
be our third, international donor funding. And we'll be launching a fellowship program for young people in Nasarawa. So Nasarawa are coming to you next year. We'll be launching
Mm,
for young people. So keep that in mind. So when we launch the fellowship program, we'll be getting applications from all the young people interested. I won't give you too much about that, but just know that we'll be training and mentoring young people. They'll have an internship at Step Up Nigeria. We'll be empowering them to carry out initiatives in their communities and, of course, build that network of young fellows in Nigeria that have been trained by Step Up Nigeria.
that's
And I would say
impressive.
third, thank you. Third and finally, I'm not going to let this cat out of the bag, but Step Up Nigeria would be entering a new realm that is linked to corrupt behavior, but outside anti-corruption education, but more around behavioral education for behavior change. And we'll be using virtual reality for this project. I can't share details yet, of course, because we're still in the works with our donors, but we will be launching a YATIP project next year. That's all I'm going to say. Excitingly about this project, we're going to go to 4 new states that SELP has never been before, 2 in the north and 2 in the south. So if you're listening to
Yeah,
this podcast, you can comment, on this post and let us know what states you think we're going to be going to next year. But we do have 4 new states next year, so that would also be exciting. And then our Step Up, of course, our podcast, please expect really interesting podcasts. We're revamping our
yeah.
podcast. So next year, expect to be getting your podcast, more consistently, more interesting
Mhm.
topics. Our YouTube channel, Step Up TV, will also be getting some more content. We're launching our street show next year. So we're going to be coming to streets close to you to ask Nigerians questions. New look. Um, Something else that's new. Joseph, as we're continuing, is
Yeah.
we are going to be writing a lot more articles, blogs, and policy
Oh,
briefs
yeah.
next year. So
Great,
we've
great,
gotten this
great.
wealth of information from multiple states, across different stakeholders. And we want to share all that knowledge with organizations in Nigeria, Africa, and the world so that we can get this replication of the successful work that we're doing at Step Up. And so expect to see a
Yeah.
lot more articles, a lot more blogs, a lot more policy briefs next year. And then we are still part of the Civil Society Coalition on Audit in Nigeria, and we had our first National Accountability Summit this year. We also had a
Yeah.
behavioral change conference this year. I'm hoping
Conference.
that we will
Yeah.
have another behavioral change conference, next year, as well as that Accountability Summit next year. Yes, we're doing green at Step Up. With the exciting, so we're changing our office policies to accommodate the environment, and we'll be launching some green initiatives next year. We won't tell you any more
Ooh.
about that, but just expect
So
that from
Step Up is
Step Up
going
as well.
green.
We're going green. We're going
Yeah.
green. I've already mentioned we're launching a new film, a new show, new comic book series. And then I've already been doing just so excited to work on the final keys of the game, and this should come available for pre-order in January next year. So we do hope that families and kids and schools all enjoy our game, do it right. Our integrity hotline will continue to be open to Nigerians everywhere to give us feedback on what they're learning, to report actions of corruption that we can now disseminate to authorities, and also just to let us know what actions you're taking. And of course, our Anti-Corruption Star Awards, December 1st next year, please
Yep.
expect that
Yep.
our
Yep.
awards will happen as well. We're excited. We're really, really excited for that to happen. So please look out for that next year as well. Thank you.
Oh, that's beautiful, Feranmi. That's really, really, really great. As we begin to, try to wrap up the podcast, I'll ask you a few questions, and I would start with this. What ways, what initiatives do you think need to be put in place to consolidate the fight against corruption? Step Up Nigeria is big on anti-corruption. The past 5 years we have done a lot of work in instilling integrity and basically
Mhm,
just preaching the message of anti-corruption message and
mhm,
promoting
mhm,
integrity.
mhm,
But to a large extent, it looks like this
mhm,
is still a challenge in our
mhm,
nation. I would
mhm,
want to ask you what ways, what initiatives, what innovations do you think should be put
mhm,
in place to consolidate the fight against anti-corruption so that key achievements and key successes already
mhm,
achieved will not be lost to this monster anti-corruption to this monster corruption. So
mhm,
all of the anti-corruption fight, all of the integrity messages that have been put out, what ways do you think we can consolidate these messages?
mhm, mhm. It's a really good question, Joseph, as we wrap up. I think one thing some of Nigeria is keen on doing next year, is social sanctions. So we're keen on using or mainstreaming social sanctions as part of all our programming next year. And the idea behind that is that sanctions systems are broken and that Nigeria needs to strengthen our sanction systems. Now, if the law cannot sanction people, we have to have the people sanction people. And so we need
Yeah,
to build a community, a strong community of foot soldiers with strong values across Nigeria, who are people who will be able to stand up to say, I will not commend bad behavior, I will not applaud unexplained wealth, I will not receive the proceeds of crime, I will not encourage my friends or family members to give jobs or money to those who do not merit it. Ensuring that there are people who are able to collectively shun bad behavior, but also shun individuals who are acting corrupt in a way that we're able to make people change behaviors based on those social sanctions. So that's one thing. In terms of like consolidating, as you said, this is why Stop Nigeria still conducts randomized controlled trials. I think we need a lot more research around behavioral change for anti-corruption. Now, there's a lot already, Chatham House is writing, um, SOAS is writing. And there's been a lot of already, documentation, but I think Step Up's contribution to this would be to release information from the findings from our own engagements with children, with young people, with parents, with teachers, with communities, so that people can see how it works and what specific ways to apply this initiative. And I think also collaboration across agencies. So we need more civil society coalitions. So of course, we have the behavioral change cohorts, and I hope that the behavioral change cohorts will outlive the MacArthur Foundation
yeah,
on Nigeria funding so that we can see more cross collaboration across organizations that are working on and behavioral change in the anti-corruption sector. So I do hope
yeah,
that we see more of that going forward. But
yeah.
yeah, write, talk, and act. I think that's what I hope we will see next year to ensure that even as we're working with the new administration, to reduce corruption in governance, that civil society would also contribute their quota. And of course, Self Nigeria would contribute a large chunk of that quota through the research that we're already doing through all our initiatives.
Oh, great. Great. Thank you so much, Fermi, for joining us for this podcast. Any final words, words of encouragement, inspiration, or, basically just invite me over for Christmas dinner, that kind of stuff. Yeah. So
Yeah.
any last words, Fermi?
Yeah, thank you, Joseph. I think as everyone is going off, you see, a step up. I had my whole step up t-shirt ready for this podcast. So I was going to end with
Yeah.
this. But there's a
Okay.
mishap with my shirt. But our quote last year at Step Up, which we had on our shirts, was that fighting corruption starts with what we teach our children. And
Yeah.
this year, our slogan at Step Up at the end of the year on our shirts also is that fighting corruption is everyone's business.
Yeah.
And the
True.
first quote is from our founder, the second one is from myself. And those are my key messages to the audience today. As we go on our holidays, as we're resting, as we're reflecting, as we're planning for the new year, let's remember, and this goes to parents first, fighting corruption begins with what we teach our children.
Yeah.
If we're trying to build the next generation of leaders to act with integrity, it starts from what we teach them today. What values are you instilling? What are you teaching them over the holidays? Is hard work important? Are they allowed to steal without repercussions? Are you teaching them to do the right thing always, even when you're not watching? These are the values we hope that parents will instill. But also that fighting corruption is everyone's business. If the effects of corruption harms everyone, maybe not equally, but harms everyone nonetheless, then fighting corruption should be your business. It should be mine, and it should
Should
be
my
everyone's
business.
business because um, we face the consequences every day on the roads, with power supply, with lack of service delivery, with poor health care. I can list the effects of corruption, but I think
Mm.
anyone can look around them and see them. And
Yeah.
so, just a reminder that fighting corruption is everyone's business. So, please join the fight against corruption today, over the holidays, and as we start the new year. And just
Yeah. Thank you.
FYI, I have chicken for you. So if you want to come for Christmas, my girls are old.
Yeah. Of course. Of course. Like you already know, I love food and I will not miss that dinner for any reason. Thank you so very much, Feranmi, for joining us today. It's been a pleasure. It's been an
Thank you,
interesting
Christmas.
conversation also. Thank you to our audience for also listening to us. You can follow us on all our social media platforms. On IG, it is step_up_Nigeria. On X, it is step_up_Nigeria. On Facebook, it is Step Up Nigeria. On TikTok, it is Step Up Nigeria TV. On YouTube, it is Step Up TV. Thank you so very much. On LinkedIn also, it is Step Up for Social Development and Empowerment in Nigeria. Thank you so very much once again, Fayemi, for joining us. And thank you, our audience. And happy holidays. Make sure you make the most of the holidays. Make sure you enjoy the holidays. Take a very good rest because next year we're going to hit the ground running. Thank you so much for joining us and do have a blessed holiday. Enjoy.
Thank you. Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year.
Thank you. Bye.